A number of years ago, actually close to 30 years ago, I went with a group from the church that I was a member of at the time in Orlando. We went up to Washington, D.C. to minister to the inner city youth, and we actually held a vacation Bible school, VBS. And the group of kids that we got to work with were tough. I mean, when I say tough, I mean tough. They were not easy to deal with, but we were there for about 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. And during that time, most of the adults that were part of the Vacation Bible School were made fun of, ostracized, pushed aside, ignored, or ridiculed in one way or another by the youth in that group. And they tried it with me as well. But by the end of the third day, more or less, I was sitting in the gym with a group of the girls, and we were chatting it up and having fun and talking. And one of them made a comment about how they trusted me, but not the other counselors and mentors that were there taking care of being part of the team that was working, the volunteers. And that made me really curious. At the time, I was a pretty new teacher. I had only been teaching for, I don't know, a couple of years at most. And it just made me curious to know why it was that they were able to trust me, or they were opening up to me and not to the other members of the group. And her response was so enlightening to me that I've never forgotten it. She said that the other adults in the room wanted them to respect and follow them just because they were adults, but that I was the only one who took the time to listen and earn the respect. Now that has really stuck with me for a long time. And as I continued in my career as a teacher, and as I transitioned from teaching to entrepreneurship, and as I shifted from working with teens and families to working with entrepreneurs, creators, business owners, and professionals, I've realized that her statement holds true regardless of what space you're in. So what I want to talk about today here on Sincerely Speaking is, why should I follow you? We're in a world where influencers are celebrities. We're in a world where even selling has more to do with leadership and being followed than with the wares that we sell or the services that we sell or our ability even to sell. And actually selling and earning a living has become so closely related to our ability to have others follow us that I want to just take the time today to talk about what makes the biggest difference and the biggest impact as we step into our leadership and as we start to elevate and try to improve and take our lives to the level that we want them to be in. And as we create our bespoke success, right? As we create the kind of life and business and environments that we want to be in. And I believe it all starts with understanding why anybody follows anybody and what we can do to have others follow us as we continue moving forward. So are you ready for this conversation on why I should follow you? Hi, I'm Marcia Amaro, self-leadership coach, communication expert, and life integration strategist. Now, those are all big words to say this. I am here to help you create your bespoke success. What does that mean? A personalized approach to success, life, and business on your terms, to make sure that your entire life looks and feels the way you know it's intended to, so that you can create the kind of lifestyle that you know will serve you, your family, and the people that you are here to help on this planet. You have something amazing to bring into this world. Don't take it to the grave with you. Do something about it. I'm here to help you. And if you're wondering how, or if you just want to know more about how we can work together, go to marciamaro.com. There's tons of details there, some free stuff, and an opportunity to sign up for a 30-minute conversation with me called the Path Paving Call, where we will talk about who you are, what you're up to, what you're meant to do in this world, and how we can get you started creating life in your terms. So go ahead and go to marciamaro.com, and I will see you there. So why should I follow you? Why should you follow me? Why do any of us follow anybody? And why is it important to have people follow us in what we're doing, whether it is entrepreneurship, whether you have a career, right? Or whether you have just a professional life or a stay-at-home mom, whatever it is that you do, you have people in your life that you are meant to serve and support. You have a set of abilities, talents, skills, experiences that are there as a package that make you the ideal person to help someone in particular, right? In fact, I believe that you, because of your skills, your expertise, your experiences, all the things that you've been through, have known, and have learned, you are perfectly equipped as the only person who can help a certain group of people, right? And those people are sitting there waiting for you to step up and do whatever you need to do so that they can find you and elevate their lives with your help, right? So they can follow in the path that you are going to help them trace, because you've already been there, because you've already experienced these things. But if they don't understand why they should follow you, if they don't see the reason to connect with you and to continue down the path that you have walked, if they don't understand what it is that you bring to the table that the 20,000 other people out there can't bring them, then they're not going to follow you, right? Same thing goes with me. If I don't help you see what it is that I know, that I've experienced, that I bring to the table that nobody else does, then you're not going to follow me. You're not going to see the benefit and the value in it. But it goes beyond what we offer. Because like I said before, 20,000 other people could offer the same thing, and still there's a group of people that are only going to want it from you, that are only going to get the full benefit of it from you, that are only going to get it once you get it. Let me ask you this. If you are a parent or have ever had any kind of relationship with a younger person, younger sibling, whatever, and you have tried to tell them or help them understand something that is unpleasant for them, or that it's not ideal, or that it doesn't sound fun. Let's put it that way. Something that doesn't sound fun. Like, for example, sorry, I don't know what's wrong with my throat today. The importance of making the bed, right? You can tell them until you're blue in the face, you should make your bed every morning because it's going to set your day up for success. It's going to put you in the right mindset. It's going to be a discipline that is going to help you later. It's going to train your brain to know that once that's done, then you've already won part of the day and you can do the rest later. You can tell them all these amazing reasons, and you can sit there and explain and reason and explain and reason, and they will nod and ignore you, right? They will not do what you're telling them to do. But then somebody else comes and tells them, you know what, you should really make your bed every morning. They're like, oh, really? Okay. And they don't need any further explanation from that person. That person just says it once, and suddenly it makes sense and it clicks. And you're standing there wondering, what on earth just happened? Why did I go blue in the face trying to explain the exact same thing, telling them the exact same reasons, and they didn't listen to me, they listened to this other person? Well, there is a couple of things there, right? But one of the main things is that they must have trust in that person that told them that that was important. And it's not that they don't trust you, it's that there's too much familiarity with you, right? They know you too well. But this other person has trust without all the little blemishes that come with knowing all their deepest, darkest secrets, right? They haven't seen them in their PJs or right as they wake up from bed with the morning breath and all that stuff, right? So it's a different kind of interaction because that trust is unblemished, whereas our trust has all these little blemishes in it. So the difference, or the key factor in why anybody should follow you, has a lot to do, actually infinitely to do, with trust. I'm going to tell you a little story to kind of illustrate this thing. So a while ago, I was looking for ways to increase my clientele, to get more clients in, increase my number of leads and all these things without having to rely on video. I like doing my podcast, right? And now that I'm doing my podcast, I have figured out a way to record video with the audio and not have to worry so much about all the little editing pieces and all that stuff that is the time-consuming part. And I didn't have the money to hire someone to do the editing for me. And even if I did, that wasn't where I wanted to spend my resources, right, on video. So I had done summits in the past, and if you don't know what a summit is, it's an online event where you get a number of speakers and then the speakers present on a given topic, and it's a way to generate leads and to elevate your credibility and your status because you are interacting with all these people that you brought together. At any rate, I have brought this person in who had credibility because she was, and I don't want to give too many details away because I'm going to say something less than flattering and I don't want you to figure out who she is. But at any rate, she had an expertise and she was really good at it. She had gained popularity and renown from the thing that she did. And she was actually one of the first women to make headway in her industry. Let's leave it there. Right. And so I had her in one of my summits, and we kind of got to know each other, and the interview went really well. The information she presented pleased me. I thought she did a great job during the interview. And so we kind of kept in touch. A while later, she puts together this workshop. And I make it a habit, if I find someone that I've connected with in a summit level or anything like that, to go ahead and join any workshop or any event that they do that I get, that I'm aware of, right? I just want to support them. I want to reciprocate the fact that they supported me in my event by being part of theirs. And so I went to her event, and she was talking about how you could build your business and create your entire platform without ever using video or without ever having to be like on a Zoom call with people or whatever. And that really intrigued me. So I joined the workshop. She did a really, really good job of presenting her thoughts and her principles and talking about what she did and what she was going to walk people through in this program that she was preparing. So I hopped on a sales call with her, which should have been my first hint, right, that things weren't quite right. The fact that she promised we wouldn't need sales calls, and yet she was hopping on a sales call with me, that should have been my first red flag. But I gave her the benefit of the doubt. I thought, well, maybe since we know each other, she just wants to reconnect and whatever. Very long story short, I ended up spending a lot of money enrolling in this program. And the very first thing she said was that we had to do lives, do Zoom calls, and do video, right? In order to get to the point. So this was like her stepping stone in order to get to the place where we needed to go. Now, here's why I'm telling you the story. The reason I hopped on the workshop in the first place, hopped on the call in the second place, and joined the program in the third place was because I thought there was a level of trust between us, and I trusted her based on our prior experience to do the thing that she said we were going to do. And yet, once I got into the program, she started breaking that trust and breaking that trust bit by bit by bit. And the more she broke the trust, the harder it became for me to follow her. It got to the point where I cut my losses, got out of the program. I tried to get her to reason with me and return at least part of my money. She never did, which was the last piece of the trust that was broken, because at that point I felt like money was more important than our relationship. And then I ended up unfollowing her on all my platforms. I never wanted to see her again. Now I've been doing some healing and I'm like, okay, maybe I should just stop being petty. And if I see her on social, I'll be fine. But the point I'm trying to make is that trust, which got me to jump on the program with her, and that then she broke and broke and broke and broke. Once the trust was gone, my desire and my ability to follow her were done. They were gone. So I realized, or I confirmed, how important and what a rare asset having someone's trust is. In fact, having someone's trust is the differentiator that can elevate you when there's multiple choices, right? So the problem with the marketplace is that you have to stand out as being at the top so that you can command any price that you want. And I'm just talking sales now for a second. Or if you are unable to do that, then at the bottom, it's a race to the bottom. You're competing to see who's the cheapest. Because once people see that 10, 20, 30 other people can do the same thing as you can at the same level, and they don't have any reason to trust you more than they trust others, then it's just a matter of who's the cheapest that can lead me to the same or similar results, right? So when you can elevate yourself to that different level where you can command any price that you want, it's because people trust you at a different level. It's because you have garnished that rare asset that very few people have in the marketplace right now. In fact, one of the things that has made the last year and a half or so difficult in sales is that COVID, because everybody was online, because everybody started playing with all these things that only marketers and entrepreneurs had used for years. Now everybody knows all the tricks. Everybody knows all the platforms. Everybody knows all the tools. Everybody knows that you can go and fake all these things if you just have the right software. Everybody knows that you can tweak and change and adapt, that you can modify things and make them look however you want. So people are more savvy when it comes to all this technology, and therefore they're harder to fool. And thus, the person that can earn people's trust is the person that is going to have that differentiator, is the person that's going to reach the next level, is the person that is going to elevate themselves and their business, whatever it is that you're trying to do, to the next level. So what are some things that we can do in order to bring our trust level up, in order to make sure that we get to the space where we can have enough trust in the marketplace to elevate what we do and who we work with, to connect with the right people, and to create the impact and be of service in the way that we want to be. So there's 3 things that I want to talk about today that are going to help us move in that direction. Now, I want to preface all of this by saying that trust is a tricky thing, in the sense that sometimes you can do everything right and still not gain someone's trust, not because of anything on your part, but because that person has trust issues, right? And there's a reason why everybody talks about trust issues. It's hard sometimes to trust, especially if you've had some experiences that have reinforced the fact that you shouldn't trust. And so there are certain things that we can do in order to help people ease out of that lack of trust, right? I was listening to someone talk the other day, and he was giving the example about how we've all been in relationships, right? And it's not just romantic relationships. We've all been in relationships of one form or another, family, friends, whatever. And I'm willing to bet that all of us, in one way or another, at some point or another, have gotten hurt in one of those relationships. We've been cheated, we've been lied to, we've been disappointed, we've been hurt in some way. Now, for most of us, and I'm sure that there are some people out there who went through some experiences that made them be like, you know what, I'm done with the whole relationship thing. I'm just going to go be a hermit in Greenland and forget about it, right? But for most of us, when we go through a period of hurt in a relationship, that doesn't completely scare us away from all relationships for the rest of all eternity, right? We might be a little bit more cautious. We definitely learn some things from that hurt and that experience that help us be more discerning and see the red flags faster in the next relationship. But most of us don't swear off relationships simply because we've had 1 or 2 or 3 or 10 or 100 bad relationships before. We simply learn from them, move forward, and trust that the next relationship is going to be better, that the things we went through in that previous relationship have made us wiser and more discerning and more able to identify a proper, better relationship. And we have also learned how to use those experiences to help us be better at the next relationship, to help us connect at a deeper level, to help us be a different kind of person. So when we find someone in our purview, in the people that we are in contact with, in our prospects, in our customers even, that expresses something that makes you think that they suffer from a lack of trust, like they're having a hard time trusting because they've had negative experiences in the past, remind them that every negative experience that we've had in relationships of any kind have made us wiser, stronger, and better, so that we can bring all that wisdom and all that knowledge to the next relationship and make it better, and possibly even make it the one that is going to take us all the way until we're done here, right? So the same thing happens with our business relationships. Just because you had a business relationship that was less than ideal, like I had that relationship with that person that I mentioned, that wasn't the last mentor I hired. I've hired 3 since. Right? And the experiences have been completely different because I learned some things from that one, because that experience taught me something about myself and about my interaction with potential mentors, right? So when you encounter in your life any customer, any relationship, any person, or even in yourself, that there's a lack of trust, that there's a space where you're like, you know what, I don't know that I can trust this, or the other person's like, you know what, I've been burned so many times, I don't know that I can take the next leap. Take it back to those moments in which relationships were painful and hurtful, but also they didn't stop you. And because you didn't let that stop you, you were able to see something new, something beautiful, something better emerge in the next one at the other side, right? So with that said, what are the 3 things that we can do on our end, on our side, to make it easier and safer for others to trust us in our interactions with them? Well, first, we need to trust ourselves. If you don't trust yourself first, there's no way that anybody else is going to trust you. I've said this quote before. I first heard it from Ed Milet. I think that he heard it from someone else. I'm not sure. But the first person I heard it from was Ed Milet. And he said that people don't need to believe everything you say. They just need to believe that you believe it. Right? So it's the same thing with trust. If you don't trust yourself first, if you don't have the commitment to know that whatever you need to do to be confident as you execute, you're going to do. If you don't trust yourself to have positive and clear intentions, the intention to do good and not harm, the intention to support and not to hinder, the intention to help people move forward and not to hold them back. If you can't trust yourself to be clear on the solution and the results that you can provide for the people you're meant to serve, if you can't trust yourself to deliver, then what makes you think that anybody else is going to trust you either? It's not going to happen. So when you can trust yourself first, and you do that by doing some introspection, right? And we can talk about this at a later episode, but when you're looking to build your self-trust, look at your track record. Look at the experiences that you've had. Look at how well you keep your commitments. Look at how well you do the thing you say you're going to do. Look at how often you disappoint yourself or others. Look at how often you might let yourself down. And then think about the moments in which you rise above it. The moments in which you actually do what you say you're going to do and you follow through. The moments in which you step up and go above and beyond and notice the patterns. What is the difference? And then see what you can do to elevate those less than ideal moments to match the ideal ones. It's not that you're ever going to be 100% trustworthy, right? We all flop. We all fail. But what do you do to make that flop better? How do you use those moments in which you fall? What do you do with them, or you just stay down, right? So that's the first one, trust yourself. The second one, in order to have people trust you and follow you, one of the key things to improve on, one of the most important skills to learn and to perfect is to communicate. To communicate with coherence and clarity. With coherence and clarity. What does that mean? Well, you know what your message is, and you know how to present it, and you present a consistent message that people can identify with you. So when people look at you, they go, oh, she's all about this. He's all about that. Or his messages always have to do with this. Or I can always rely on her to deliver when I feel this, right? Like for me, my messages are about communication and leadership and how those 2 things lead to success. So if you go back and listen to all my podcasts, even when I was still working with families and teens, the underlying message was if you communicate effectively and you lead yourself and others in the right way, you're going to see success in whatever it is that you're looking for: relationships, business, career, life, whatever that is. So it's all about communicating with yourself and others, leading yourself and others, and using those to take you to whatever success looks like for you, right? So I'm all about communication and leadership. That's what I'm about, communication and leadership. So what are you about? When people come to you, do they know what you're about, right? Now, in order for that communication to be as effective and as efficient as it can possibly be, there has to be clarity and assertiveness in the way you express yourself, in your messaging, in the way you talk. I don't stand here and go, it might be good, or it might actually work if you try to do this or that. No. If I did that, you wouldn't listen to me past the first 2 seconds. You continue to listen to me and you stay to the end of my podcast because I speak with clarity and assertiveness. Clarity and assertiveness. You can go back to similar episodes that talk about similar things, and you're going to find a very consistent message. I might use slightly different terms. I might explain it in a different way. I might add a little tweak to it, but the essence of it, the principle behind it, is going to remain the same. Right? Like, I will always advocate for curiosity in your communication and your listening. I will always tell you that if you're not willing to listen and listen effectively, then you can't express anything and you can't lead anyone. I will always tell you that if you can't manage yourself, your time, your emotions, your own language, the way you talk to yourself, then you're not going to be able to lead anybody or anything. And we're going to talk more about that in a second, because that's actually the third point I'm going to make. But at any rate, it's going to be a clear, concise, coherent, and assertive message. I'm not going to dance around it. I'm going to tell it like it is. In fact, that's one of the reasons why anytime I mention anything about the Bible or anything about God, I don't go, whatever you believe. Yes, you're free to believe whatever you want to believe, but I'm going to stand firm on what I believe. And if you agree with what I believe, that's going to resonate with you. If you don't, you have a decision to make. Either you continue listening to me or you don't. But I'm not going to dance around the points and the things that I'm trying to tell you, because that doesn't serve you or me. Because I'm willing to bet that you don't sit and listen to podcasts so you have more things to decide on and more options to think about. You sit and you listen to podcasts because you want to hear a way of doing things, and you want people to direct you and to lead you and to tell you, okay, this is what you should do. Now, obviously, ultimately, the last decision, the action is up to you. But if I'm just going to sit here and be like, okay, you have two choices. You can either do this or you can either do that. You're not going to listen to me for more than 2 seconds because I'm giving you more work to do. Right? So assertiveness is important. And when you are assertive and when you speak with the right commitment and the right coherence, then you can actually lead people. You can actually enroll people into following your way of thinking, into looking at the way you do things, into following you and wanting to do things with you. So communication and the way you express that vision, that idea, that notion, that expertise, whatever it is that you lead people through, that is the second reason why they follow you. And the third reason why they follow you is because you're worth following, because you lead yourself well. Because you lead yourself well, right? I taught for 28 years total, 28 years. And in those 28 years, I noticed a clear pattern between the parents that had kids that were, I don't want to use the word manageable, but that were more in tune with authority, right? That were willing to accept other people's authority, but that also didn't let themselves be bullied, right? That were more balanced in that space. And those kids that were all out rebellious, that didn't follow any rules, that were all over the place, that didn't know what to do. And I'm not saying that there's a guarantee, right? But I did see a pattern. And for the most part, the kids that were on track to being well-rounded citizens who contributed to society were the parents that had themselves effective self leadership, right? Now, I want to share a quote with you because I talk about self leadership a lot, but a lot of people don't understand the extent to which self leadership is important. And I'm going to quote from, I'm probably going to butcher this last name, but I'm going to say Brevoort, Breevaart, and his team. They conducted studies on leadership and employee engagement, right? So they wanted to see how effective leadership in the workplace could lead to employee engagement and what could be done in order to effectively raise the satisfaction at work and to raise the leadership standards within a work environment, right? But it translates to pretty much any environment in which there's leadership, which is everything. Anyway, so here's the quote. Studies have consistently shown a relationship between self-leadership and a variety of individual outcomes, including job satisfaction, self-efficacy, creativity and innovation, and job performance. So, self-leadership, self-leadership goes beyond just being able to manage my time or being able to motivate myself to do the thing. It goes well beyond that. When you effectively self-lead, that trickles and translates into improvement in pretty much every area of your life, including how satisfied you are with the work that you do, regardless of whether you're living your purposeful life or not. The job that you're doing, how satisfied you're in it. Self-efficacy, which has to do with your belief in yourself to actually be able to do the thing, perform the task, complete the thing, right? Elevate yourself. Creativity and innovation, thinking of new ways of doing things. If you can't self-lead, you're going to always rely on someone else to tell you what to do. But when you start self-leading, you start seeing options and possibilities, and not just that, you start taking risks in the direction of effectively pursuing and activating those other options and possibilities, right? And job performance, whether you're an entrepreneur or not, doing the thing, following through, getting to the space. And so when you self-lead, you work and you live in such a way that others are going to look at you and say, I should follow that person. I should see what they're doing. I should see why they're so happy all the time. I should see where they get all their energy from. I should see why everything they touch turns to gold. I should see why everything they do works out. And it's not that everything does work out. It's just that when it doesn't, you don't stay there because you have the self-leadership to innovate and to be creative and to figure out other ways to try it so that you can get it done and get the result that you're after. See? So even in those moments when it gets hard, you don't stay down because you have the ability to lead yourself to a new level, out of the wilderness, out of the darkness. When you're going through hell, you keep walking. You don't stop because you have the self-leadership. You don't depend or wait on anybody or anything to come and rescue you. You know you can do the thing. Right? And when you are constantly and consistently putting in the time to elevate yourself and to use what you're learning and what you're going through to help others, when you're spending your time and your effort and your energy sharing with others, helping them discover new possibilities, helping them see new probabilities and new opportunities for themselves, then you can effectively exert influence on others in a way that it's not just transformational, but inspirational. See, people talk about transformational leadership, and that is wonderful, and it's definitely a step up from transactional influence, which is manipulation, right? But inspirational influence goes even further because transformational influence says, I can show you how to make it better. I can show you how to go from this, which is not ideal, to this, which is much better. But inspirational influence says you have what it takes to innovate and figure it out. And I'll be here to support you, and I'll be here to keep you accountable, and I'll be here to guide you if you need me. But you have what it takes to not just take it to the level I'm at, but to go further. Inspirational influence says, I will lead you, but I know full well and I expect that there will come a time when you're going to pass me and you're going to go further than I ever could because you are standing on my shoulders. That's the whole idea of standing in the shoulders of giants, right? When you learn from people who can mentor you, They mentor you up to where they've been at, but you have all these other experiences and all these other things that allow you to stand on their shoulders and go even further than they did. And then somebody else will come and stand on your shoulders, right? And that's inspirational influence. It's when you know that what you're doing is going to take people and propel them. It's like a slingshot, right? Inspirational influence is where you put them on a slingshot and you shoot them and you know they're going to go really, really far. And I know that that's a weird analogy, but you get my point, right? Transformational influence is just like, okay, I'll elevate you to where I'm at and we'll stand shoulder to shoulder and we'll be able to do the same things. And you will become a different person because now you're rising to my level. And as a mentor, I'm helping you rise to my level. But inspirational influences, no. Now that you're at my level, I'm going to take the slingshot and I'm going to propel you to places that I've never been, that I couldn't even dream of. And when people understand that that is your end goal, when people see that you can lead yourself to the space where you can say, you know what, not only am I okay with you going further than me, I'm going to help you go further than me. Because then my hope is that as I propel you forward, you're going to help others. And if I still have the desire to go further, maybe you can lead me next. Right? And it's that space of, I lift you, you lift me, I lift you, you lift me. And it's that causes people to follow you. And it's that causes people to understand that you have the expertise to guide them and lead them, but also the humility to know that you're human and that you're limited and that you fail and that they will eventually surpass you. And that will make people follow you, right? So just to sum it up, the thing that causes people to follow you, it's whether they trust you, right? In the industry, they say know, like, and trust you. It boils down to trust. You don't trust somebody you don't know and like, right? So if you can take people to the space of trust, if you can do, and actually you just need to work on yourself so that as they look at you, they see the reasons to follow you, right? They see that they can trust you. But it boils down to being a trustworthy person. And how you do that, how you show yourself trustworthy, is by first trusting yourself in every area, by keeping your commitments, by being true to yourself. It's by communicating with yourself and with others in a way that enrolls, in a way that captivates, in a way that is coherent and clear. And by leading yourself first, so that then you can be in a position to influence others and do that inspirational influence where you propel them to the next level. All right? Now, don't forget, all of this is possible, but only if you take the first step. And your first step is to go to marcyamaro.com, schedule your free 30-minute conversation with me. And yes, at the end of our conversation, if it feels like a fit, I will share with you how we can work together, how maybe one of my programs might be a good fit for you to move forward. But there's no obligation, and you will leave the 30 minutes with key information that is going to start you in the direction of your dreams and in the direction of living that personalized way of success that makes sense to you. So head on over to marcyamaro.com, schedule a 30-minute call, and I will see you then. And I will definitely chat with you next week here on Sincerely Speaking. See you then.